live here. I'm going to click over to Instagram 1 second and go live. This one just takes a second to connect. Okay, we are live on Instagram as well. And we're live on, it looks like even Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Even though I don't currently have Facebook. I don't know if you knew that, but
I do know that because I tried to tag you all week and you were not available.
Yeah, if something's wrong with my profile, I've been working on it for like the past 2 months. So I have till my professional pages are still there for whatever reason. It's complicated. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amanda Marino, and I am here with my friend Gregg Champion from Startup Recovery in Los Angeles, California, or what's it exactly is the town?
Pacific Palisades.
So I love the Palisades.
Oh yeah.
It's so pretty on the drive up there. It's terrifying for a Floridian to drive in up those hills. Remember you had to back my car out?
That's true. Very true. Yep.
So let everyone know who you are. Who's Gregg Champion? I mean, I can go on and on all day.
Thank you, Amanda. Hello, everyone. Great to be here with Amanda. She's such a force of nature in every way, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, a mother, a soon-to-be wife.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That one.
But just really takes life by the full throttle. And so I'm a co-founder of a nice place in Los Angeles known as Startup Recovery. We are a transitional housing for people in certain acuity of mental health, addiction, or alcoholism. We also have another entity called Startup Wellness. That's our version of an IOP. And we also have startup apartments. So we are a full continuum of care for people who are struggling these days with any sort of addiction or sort of acuity of mental health issues. Myself, I'm coming up this November with 29 years of sobriety. It's a big part. I know it's a big part of my success, both in the business world, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a mentor, a teacher. I would not have any of it going on if I wasn't sober and present. And so, I've just made my mission to be a man in recovery. And when people ask me to do some things, I have a mantra: I suit up and I show up. And so today
you do.
I have suited up and I'm showing up for Miss Amanda Marino.
Let's just have a little funny background on today. Okay. So Gregg and I both didn't have space to do this today, right? So Gregg, what did you do? And I'll share what I did to be able to be here today together. A little late on my end, not on Gregg's. So that's why we're late.
So I was in a conference in San Diego. I live in Los Angeles, and I went up to the person who runs the conference. I said, listen, I'm going to be in a very important phone call at 9:30. I need somewhere quiet. And so she made some arrangements for me to get a room at the hotel for 2 hours. And I didn't see much pushback, and it made me think about, well, I'm here for a business meeting. What other use would this room be used for 2 hours? So just some thinking for you folks in an abstract way, but I am here in my nice little quiet room and I'm very happy. And what happened with you today, Miranda?
So today I double scheduled myself with a client that was kind of and it was important to be at. So I said this morning to Sarah, I said, I don't know how I'm going to go there, have lunch, meet with the client, and then be home because there's a travel time difference, right? And so I'm at Karen Keel Center in Boca Raton, and they actually let me use an office for this Zoom so that we could do this. So we both found ways to make it happen and to show up. And then Gregg posted a picture of us the other day about to promote our talk today and our discussion, which was from Winter Leadership Summit, an event that I co-host. And this year was the biggest blizzard of the century. And Gregg and I both somehow made it to Tahoe. And so did 130 people.
Yeah, we have big smiles on our faces and everything, but the hours leading up to that photo was not so happy.
I was terrified on the drive-in. I mean, I've been through I've been a passenger through some things. I would have definitely died if I was driving. That was intense. Thank God Phil is from the Northeast and he knows how to drive in snow.
Yeah.
So what our topic today, okay? Preparing kids for the real world, essential skills and actions for parents. Like you and I are both parents. We're both passionate about our families, passionate about our kids. what made you bring this topic to the table? Because I always ask people that come on, like, to come with a couple topics. And this,
Yeah. So, Amanda, it's not about my family at all. It's about the work we do with so many young people out there. And I'm just baffled at the disconnect the kids have regarding what they are supposed to be doing to set themselves up for success. And more importantly, the disconnect the parents have in terms of setting them up for success. And being someone we work with families.
Yeah.
And so we work with
one person. That's a myth out there for people that are not in behavioral health. This is about the whole entire family system.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden the client comes to you and you're one-on-one with the client and you're hearing their backstory. And then meanwhile, a lot of that backstory is the family dynamic. And then you go back to the family and you realize you have to work on both at the same time. And I'm like, this is something I work with every day. And I'm like, it's so important, because what I want from this conversation, Amanda, is if we can give some people some tools to use with their kids, let's say when they're 10, 11, or 12, and start to use that, right? Boom. Guess what? The type of kid who shows up at our facilities, or in your case management, it will go down, and I'm okay with my business going down if we're doing the right thing.
I 100% agree. And I have, a son who just graduated high school, who's starting Fire Academy and also going to some trainings to do the work that we do. He's going to an intervention training and which it was all his idea, which is awesome. Yeah. He's 18. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with kids that try things. but he's never tried alcohol, never tried nicotine, never tried anything. And he has graduated high school. That to me, is a huge mom win. Then I have an 11-year-old going into middle school, and she is, very emotionally intelligent, beyond, the things that she says to me sometimes, I'm just like, where did you get that? And I think that's from probably some of the things we're going to talk about today. Mm-hmm. I think it's one of my greatest accomplishments as being a mother. And then, helping families navigate, the thing. So what were your parents like?
So I'm glad we opened up with this question, because, we all come with a set of parents, and unfortunately, my real father was killed when I was 4.5 years old in a drunk-on-drunk car crash. Oh, no. So I felt abandoned. I was that term was not used back then, right. But as I began to process, I felt abandoned. And so my mom was raising me as a single mom, and I was a latchkey kid. I fantasized with television. I acted out with violence. Certain things happened along the way where I had some abuse as a kid. And I thought possibly, as I think back, that with it being a single mom, just not enough eyes and enough hours to keep tabs on you. And then my mom remarried a World War II vet. And so there was these very rigid rules that World War II vets have, and he definitely shaped me up. But more importantly, two things came out of it. One is I realized that there's good parents and there's bad parents. And I learned more from the bad parents, because here's why. I learned what not to do. And what I mean by that is some of the things that my parents did with me, I will not let into my ecosystem of parenting. Absolutely. I put up a huge Great Wall of China. Mm-hmm. What's going on at my house within my family dynamic, those things aren't getting over the wall. And that's, I speak to my kids as if they're adults. I'm present. I show up at all their games. We talk things out. And most important, I give them choices. Choices are so important for kids to have. If you just say, this is it, that's not parenting.
It definitely baffled me. When people were saying, oh, well, your son's graduating high school, what is he doing? And my answer was, he's, figuring it out. I think people were kind of especially expecting an 18-year-old who's just graduating high school to know everything that he wants to do. I've re-evolved myself. So I told him, I don't care what you do. I want you to do something that you're happy doing, that you want, that helps you to grow, and that you can live a good life. And so what I did was I had him go spend time with different people I knew in different professions, entrepreneur, males, and young firefighter, and let him kind of discover that's what I could do to help. I can open doors for him.
That is so good on you, Amanda, setting your son up with mentors who are not their mom or their mom's boyfriend. Here's some quality people. Go see them, have coffee with them, and begin to use them. It's the greatest thing you can give your kid is to set them up with mentors who are not you. I have a business mentor who he's got boats in the water and houses all over the world. And I said, I one time asked him, hey, what's success? And he says, success is happy children. Success is happy children.
I love that.
And so when you're trying to get your son who's 18 and your daughter who's 11, you're trying to give them joy. So go do what makes you happy. And the extension of happiness is joy.
I love joy. So Gregg, what kind of, on that note, what kind of parent are you? And like, what are some things that you do that work?
What kind of parent am I? So first of all, I'm a sober dad.
Yes.
And just like you stated earlier, you're a sober mom. There's something about that. There's something about being present. There's something about bringing recovery and the 12 steps into your life, making that part of your story. The kind of father I am is I am very present. I listen. I have, as you know, I have 3 daughters. Amanda, if I were to have 100 kids, all of them would be daughters. If that kind of tells you how karma's coming back at me. But I am truly a girl dad. I go to their soccer games. I go to their soccer games. What's that?
Being a girl dad has probably changed you.
So my heart is completely done a 180 in terms of just, I know what to look out for. Does that make sense? I know what to look out for. And, one of the things I love to do with my kids, I love to date my kids. And what I mean by that is a lot of times parents say, hey, we're all going to get in the station wagon and we're going to go on a road trip to Aspen or to Hawaii or whatever, and all the kids are lumped together. And so they're not having an individual experience.
Right.
So what I've done with my 2 older daughters is I say, hey, what you're interested in, I'm interested in. Let's go do that.
Yes.
And people ask me all the time, what are your hobbies? I hate to say this, but my kids are my hobbies.
Aww.
They really are. And I really put my personal time into being a present parent who really asks a lot of questions. But most important, what we said earlier about you showing up in your little office and me showing up in this 2-hour hotel room, we suit up when we show up. And kids need to see that.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many kids where I'm at a school game or a school event and someone's playing or performing and they're looking out in the audience and you don't see their mom or their dad. And the look on their face
it's
says
hard.
it all.
Well, I always share this. So like my ex-husband, who's a dear friend of mine, Scarlett's dad. So when we were together, he was like, I don't have any trauma. Cause my trauma was sexual abuse. My mom, domestic violence. And then my sister was abducted when we finally left the abuser and taken to Canada. So those are some pretty like dramatic, not the Hallmark Channel, Lifetime movie kind of, trauma. So his parents were immigrants and they, worked all the time and couldn't go to his baseball games. And now, like they didn't do vacations and so the level of trauma that we had was different, but we felt the same. Right. So like those kind of things are just as impactful and traumatic to children.
And what you just described are 2 things that any good therapist will tell you is abandonment and neglect.
Yeah.
And it's not, the parents may not see it that way, but it doesn't matter. It's how the kid sees it.
Absolutely.
More importantly, how the kid feels it.
And 2 kids can see it differently. And how often do we see that in a family system? Like one kid's like, oh, we had the best childhood. And the other one's like, no, it was terrible. And it's like, well, you have to like honor both perceptions,
Amen. Amen.
So what outside influences do you think are healthy quality for kids and vice versa?
So, and this is my only experience, in terms of what I can say. I can say the number one good influence is a good school. They got to be going to a good school. They got to be going to a school where they have friends, they feel valued, the teachers like or love them. You think about it. You're dropping your child off at 8 a.m. You're picking them up at 5 days a week. The majority of the time they spend in the school year is at school. So there's a major influence. Yeah, so I think that picking a school is really of high value for the parent to make that right choice. The other part of that is friends, but more importantly, friends' parents. Because what happens is your daughter or your son goes over to their house and whatever those rules are now apply to your son and daughter.
Yeah.
So those parents better have similar values and morals and ethics as you do. And I'll never let one of my kids go over to someone's house I haven't met.
No,
with, and that. So those are 2 of the good things. The bad ones are definitely bad friends, right? Or kids you don't know.
Yeah.
Kids you don't know. Like,
Thankfully, like all my daughter, like my son, it was a little, I mean, I've always liked both of my kids, like their friends' parents.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like my daughter, like I was, in the elementary school, there's some that you just hear on the walk to school and it's like, I can't, like I can't, but all the ones that Scarlett's friends with, I love their moms. Like I'm so lucky. That I have like the best group of like mom friends, they're really cool, down to earth, good families. And it's so important because if they were not, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with my daughter even being around them. Right. It speaks volume.
Yeah. And kids are sponges. They're more aware than we think they are. And I can tell you that, we've been around some parents who maybe drink too much or are not around enough. And my kids will come home and the next time it's time for a play date or go do something, they don't want to do it. And it's because of the culture that those parents have set in their homes it's not a warm and fuzzy place they want to return to.
Yeah. The kids know they're smart.
Yeah.
What else anything else besides those things that you feel is important or like as far as outside influences that are quality or healthy or harmful?
No, that's basically it's again they're going from your environment where you live, right, and then eventually they're going to go to their environment where maybe they go to school or they take a job post 18.
Mm-hmm.
But all those things still stay with them. I do feel, and I'm a big proponent of this. I do feel that, and I know for a fact because I've talked to a lot of parents and educators that kids who get involved in something at school stay out of trouble.
Yes, true.
It's the ones that have nothing going on that then make something going on. And that going on is not usually a good thing. So if your kid's involved in the band, drama classes, or sports, make sure you promote that. Make sure you even if they're the last person on the team, make them stay on the team and fulfill their obligation because it really is, like we've heard it 100 times, the opposite of addiction is connection.
Absolutely.
And what I hope is the families listening that have an 8, 9, 10-year-old before puberty hits goes, okay, I see what Greg and Amanda are talking about. Keep them in their tribe, keep them going. They have a friend group, but they also have like a team group or almost like a locker room.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the other thing.
That's so funny that because my son was really shy when he was younger and he, there was a phase in middle school where he didn't want to do karate anymore and he had tried a few things. And I was like, I don't care. It was 7th grade. I said, I don't care what you do, but you have 2 weeks to figure out the activity you want to do, or I'm picking it for you. And he picked tennis and he did tennis for a while. And then he did flag football. So
you did something very important. You gave him choice.
Yeah.
You have a choice to pick your own, or I'm going to pick it for you. There's a choice.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, kids are, I use a certain phrase, you're at a Y in the road. Kids are constantly at Y's in the road. And sometimes we as parents just have to say, hey, why don't you try right before you go left?
Yeah, absolutely. And those are some of the things I think just like, nobody taught me, but like you said, I learned what to do, what not to do from growing up. And also like a big goal was to change generational trauma, right? Like my grandma did the best with what she had. My mom did the best with what she had. Now, how can I, take it to the next level? As far as like, how can I show up presently for my kids and how can I give them a different experience?
Amanda, I'm so glad you brought up generational trauma because my single job, I feel as a father, is to keep my daughter's trauma, shame, and pain somewhere between a 0 and 2, because mine was somewhere between an 8, 9, and 10.
Me too. And I used to say, I remember when I first, came into this healing recovery journey, I said, I just want to not mess up my kid because I just had Merrick at the time. Okay. So we're all going to mess up our kids in some way, right? Let's be honest. Like there's going to be something, my son jokes about this thing, but I think it really bothers him that I went to Jamaica when he was 5. I went for a month and did a yoga intensive. I left my job. I was 5 years in recovery and I went away and I would FaceTime or Skype him at the time. They were Skyping.
Yeah, Skype.
And I was like, I'm going to, remember the time you left me and went to Jamaica? So like, it's okay. We're going to make mistakes. We're human. But like you said, keep like not have to have them be around addiction and trauma and abuse and toxic, toxicity in a home. Like kids have never been around arguing. Like they just haven't, not like legit arguing, some people do. So that's just, it's been a great goal of mine in life. And I know that you feel the same.
Yeah. Very, very smart. Very
Yeah.
wise.
What do you see as far as, just to go into the client portion, like
Yeah.
what is a common theme you see with some of your clients that, when it comes to childhoods? Like what are they?
So the biggest thing that I am seeing with my clients is their parents have failed to teach them how to work.
Mm.
Okay. And I can tell you, I've had 450 clients at Startup Recovery. Of those 450, I would say 120 have been young people. And at those 120, 100 have said, where the parent, I said, hey, so what did they do for work in high school? Oh, they didn't work. I wanted to make sure they got through high school. Then, oh, what would they do for a college job or I wanted to make sure they got a college degree. And so there's 8 years of not working. And then Amanda, let me ask you this. They graduate with a degree. And what's the one thing we're asking them to do? Go to work.
Yeah. They're like, what?
Go to what?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they panic and they go, oh my God, I have this great degree from this university. I'm going to move to New York or Chicago or LA or Miami and start this great life. But then they realize, and then the compare and despair comes in. They begin to see their friends from the same schools or the same social elements to getting jobs, but they don't know how to work. It is literally, it's one of the epidemics of this country. We have not taught kids how to work.
And it goes into another personal story for me. So my son, when he was starting to get his car, I was like, you have to have a job. Like you have to be able to pay for your own gas, like certain things. He got a job at this local bagel store, right? Family owned. And this woman loves to have first-time employees because she likes to mold them. So she likes to get kids at their first job, and he's been there. He's going to be 19. He's been there since he turned 16 and now he has a second job. But like what he's learned there and his bonds he has there, he's learned some work ethic and he deals with difficult people. Like a bagel shop, you're going to deal with some
Oh, yeah. Listen, a bagel shop in South Florida, difficult people. Oh yeah. Big time.
You like the juice bar in Malibu. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, they come in with their Range Rovers and
yeah.
So your son has learned first-class customer service right on the front lines.
Right. From and I love the boss, like that she is passionate about taking on kids that are 16 years old or 17 and teaching them how to be an employee. Like she loves that. She'd rather cut somebody and mold them up. Yep. And, and then now he wants to work hard. He's a hard worker. He's like dying to work with me. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, you have to have some training and, maybe you can do an adolescent transport as a second, once you've had some training, but it's cute to see his fire. And I think
Amanda, that says a lot about you that he would see you in your day-to-day life. And, our kids do. My kids have heard me on phone calls. They, where you're in a car, you have to take a call. They're seeing what that is. And I'm sure your son and daughter have been exposed to that kind of stuff. But to be so attractive of what you do for him to go be in that field, right, says a lot about, obviously, Next Level Recovery Associates, a lot about Amanda Marino, and a lot about the work you guys do. So, kudos to you.
Thanks. And kudos to you too. It's pretty cool to be a parent in this light, So, a lot of parents, I'm sure, have questions after watching this. So what do you think that somebody could do today to change the course of their child's trajectory? Like if they're seeing some of these things, and what would be signs to look out for that they would want to help change their child's trajectory?
Yeah.
It's the relationship with their kids. How can they change the relationship with their kids?
So a couple of things. One, we talked about it earlier, choices. They got to be able to present choices. Amanda, I know you're successful. I would consider my success me being successful. Everybody I know that's successful has routines. So a kid getting up at the same time every day, a kid having chores, a kid having routine, pay for him or her to go to the gym, right? So they find out what a routine feels like. Get that going. It could be one thing this week and then two things next week. Build on the routine. Also, really sit down and talk about the values of your family at the kitchen table. Hey, we're going to go to church every Sunday. We are going to go volunteer once a month. We are, just value system. And then last but not least, I brought it up early. I think parents need to date their kids. I think you need to be interested in what they want versus what you want. So many parents pick vacation spots where they want to go, right? And the kid goes, I don't want to go, but the parent has the money, has the car, has the, right? So they have to go. And so it's really those four things that I feel are good tools for parents. And that can happen at 4 years old, 14 years old, or even later post-grad at 24 years old. It's never too late to teach your kids those things, which are choices, values, dating your kids, and routine.
I love that. So if somebody wants to change their relationship with their kid, like maybe taking them, if you have I have, 2 kids that are, they pretty much have grown up alone, but together, because there's a big age difference. So raising each one of them was kind of independent, but still having each other, which is unique. I don't have that experience of having 2 kids close to each other, but it's important, with, recently in March, moving in with my partner, my boyfriend, and him having 2 kids, to have time where I still spend with my daughter, and time I still spend with just my son, or time where I spend with just my kids. Cause we do a lot of things as a group, as a unit, a family unit. But I don't want my kids to, and also spend time with his kids alone, getting to bond with them. So it's really important that everyone feel, that you're not, like you said, you're not just all one, that you're all individuals and you're loved and supported.
Oprah Winfrey says it best. A human being wants to feel 2 things. They want to feel loved and they want to feel valued. That's it. That's it.
And if we can do that to our children, think of how great things
Amen.
Yeah. And having what are your thoughts? This isn't on our questions, but I want going rogue, but our kids sharing that they're upset with us, or that they're mad at us, and or coming to us with their things, and having a voice, obviously respectfully. But I know that in my, in my divorce, when my kids knew that I was the one that wanted to leave the marriage, they were both very, very angry at me. And it was really, really hard for me. And as long as they were respectful with how they spoke to me, they were allowed to tell me that they were upset with me, that they were hurt, share their feelings. And I think that really helped us to get through it. There was sometimes we went on a trip to LA actually, and they were throwing jabs at me, and my aunt heard it. And I was like, guys, listen, we cannot do that. You guys can share your feelings honestly with me and openly, but you cannot throw jabs at me. It's not fair. So what are your thoughts on some of that? Like having the hard things?
So you bring up some great points. I think that every family goes through some sort of some emotional bombs. I do think that suggesting a third party, a therapist, is a great idea. We've done that with our daughters and said, hey, you're at a crossroads. You're struggling with us as parents. Would you like to go see somebody? Yes. Great. And what's crazy is you're thinking it's going to be a year-long, $25,000 investment, and all of a sudden they're in and out of it in two times, or 4 times. In my experience, huh?
Not maybe for you. Mine went a year.
Well, we didn't have a divorce, but I'm just saying I can understand the divorce stuff.
I took her for a year, 30-minute drive every Wednesday night in traffic. And I just was so committed because it was she had the full play art and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of games, and really connected with my daughter. So yeah, you're right. Therapy.
And then sort of the micro. So that's the macro. That's if life is really, big in terms of what's being pressured on a family, but the micro, which are just little things. I take my kids on walks. And I read the Steve Jobs autobiography a few years ago. And he said that when you have an issue with somebody, take them for a walk. Here's why. Every 20 feet, scenery changes.
Yes, true.
Right? Also, you're telling the universe that you want to move this issue or problem forward by walking forward. And I've started that both in my personal life and my business life. And it has been a game changer. Yeah. A walk and a talk.
A walk and a talk. I need to do that when I get
a walk and a talk. And again, look, as we know from our other program, Amanda, keep it simple, stupid. Just keep it simple. A walk and a talk. And so I would say to parents, when you start to feel like something's uneasy, also parents have to learn how to apologize. I got to admit, as you know, we both have very stressful, high pressure jobs. And sometimes I come home and I don't want to talk. I'm talked out. Right? We're talked out. Yeah. But the kid feels, oh my God, my father hates me. They go right to DEFCON 5, right? Yeah. So I have to explain the next morning, listen, I apologize for my attitude, the way I came in last night. And they know we have a tough job. And so as long as you keep talking to them as if, hey, I'm just as vulnerable as you, then they go, okay, My dad's not this big, strong guy that he always puts like, he can be vulnerable with me.
Yes.
And as Brene Brown says, vulnerability is our superpower. So I encourage parents to get vulnerable.
And just be real, like humanize. So that was a great experience in my divorce process was I became human to my kids. They, had me on a pedestal, and that's hard. That's hard, right? Like not mom did no wrong. Mom did, and so I did something. And then there was a few things kind of like after that like humanized me, which actually like took a lot of pressure off me. Cause like I can tell them like, my daughter will either, have an attitude or my son, something will go on. I just tell them like, hey, I had a hard day today. Can you give me take it easy on me?
Amanda, for our audience, what were some of those things that humanized you? I would love to know, just because I think I've been there too. And you and I were both, we're 3,000 miles apart. We're both parents. You're a female, I'm a male, but I can guarantee you, if you say I was in the fetal position or I cried for 3 days or I couldn't eat, these are all things that happened to me,
Yeah, no, they've seen me in full like crying breakdowns. They've seen me go make hard choices and hard decisions. And I'm honest with them, obviously not to like an extreme that's like not appropriate, but I'm pretty honest with them about what goes on in my life. Just to be completely transparent, when I vaped, that was like a huge thing for them. They were like so disappointed in me because I didn't do anything. Right. And then I started vaping in the divorce, and that was like really hard for both my kids. It gave me, I hid it. I was hiding it, and then I let them know. So that humanized me more.
Yeah.
I really brought it down to size with them.
By the way, I can't imagine you being a vapor, by the way. It just...
No, I didn't smoke for 10 years. And then, in the struggle of the divorce, I just made a conscious decision
we do food, exercise, workaholism.
Yeah.
I know we both struggle. I know we both struggle with workaholism. And I heard this the other day, workaholism is the only addiction that you get rewarded for.
What about fitness?
I guess, yeah. People are addicted to, yeah. But,
I actually like, at the beginning of the summer, I was talking to Sarah about it. I'm not doing any travel for work this summer. I can't. I need to take like last year, because I had all of last year booked, and then I booked the show. So I had the whole year booked out, and then I had to have 3 weeks away in different parts of the country to film the show, intervention. And that just like really put me over the edge. I ended up at the end of the last year with COVID, then the flu. And so I said, this year I'm doing it different. I'm going to travel this summer, but I'm just going to do family stuff. Like normally I would have come to California already, probably twice, but I needed to do things differently this year to protect myself. So I'm pretty good with some work boundaries at this point. Like I shut it down. I tell people like if someone from my team, I'm like, listen, I'm not in the space right now. Like I'm checked out. The problem I have is going on vacation and coming back.
Tell me your process. What happens?
So I've worked on it with my therapist. So I'm really good at like detaching, shutting off, going into like, almost like fantasy land of living free life and having no care, like being carefree. It's like my spirit. And when I come back, I just feel like everything like is so overwhelming. And so I've had to plan like how people plan to pack for a trip and you prepare for a trip. I have to do that with coming home now. So I have to have a plan of preparation to come home to make sure I have time and space to like get back grounded, not jump into everything crazy, because it sends me for a loop. Sarah, Blake, everyone that's really close to me has seen the Amanda vacation come back, and it's not cute. There's like a picture I send of Sarah, like when I'm leaving somewhere. And then when I come back, I look like I'm dead and miserable.
Right.
So I've gotten much better with the workaholism. I just don't do it anymore. I'm pretty good. Yeah. Boundaries. Like I won't answer if someone texts me about something random on a Sunday that's work related.
Yeah, I'll be like, if someone sends me an email on the Sunday, I'll be like, listen, I just don't answer emails on Sundays. I'll get to you first thing in Monday morning. If
it's like if it's a client, if it's something actively going, like I'm trying to get somebody to say come to startup or something like that, like you will hear from me. But if it's like about lunch or about something like that, like I try my best to respect between Monday and Friday 9 to 5 to people, because I try to keep that for my just for business stuff, for personal, for referrals or for clients or for emergencies. Absolutely, I'm available. But I've had to have boundaries. People text you at 9 o'clock at night. Hey, you want to go to this? And it's like, no. Like I'm with my kids, like I have to, that's the most important thing, right? Being present with our kids.
You bring up Sundays and Saturdays. And what makes me think about a good barometer for parents to think about if your kids are attuned with you if your kids are inviting their friends over to your house to swim in your pool, play in your yard, whatever that is, you have a pretty good relationship with them, because most kids are embarrassed of their parents, right? And if your house is the house that is everybody's over at getting snacks and water balloon fights, you're doing a pretty good job, parents. You're doing a pretty good job. You've created a nice culture for them.
So are you that, Greg?
I am. I am. There are days literally I'm outnumbered 10-1. There's
Your
my
dad, so they love their dad.
my 4 girls, and then there's another 3 from the oldest daughter and another 3 from the youngest daughter. And I'm just sitting there on my computer with my headphones in, trying to work, all sorts of
Girls.
yeah.
Yeah. So with my son, I was that until he got to high school, because then when he got to high school, then it got like, oh, your mom, like they would say things inappropriately to him, and he got embarrassed of me.
Got it.
I had him young, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he blocked all his friends from my social media, things like that. And I don't put like anything inappropriate up, like at all. Not that I have anything against that, but I'm not that person. I don't put pictures of my butt or anything like that on Instagram, but still he blocked them all. But with my daughter, I'm definitely that person. All the moms though in our crew are like, they'll all, like the last day of school, I took them all to the beach, the last day of elementary school. I figured that's a big deal. Like I wanted to celebrate that with them. So I took them all to the beach and to get ice cream, and, you know, we're blasting music in my car. You know, I want to be that safe space, but I don't want to be the party house, because I grew up at the party house.
No,
I'm just a safe house.
yeah.
And also be like, you know, I'm sure how old is your oldest child?
14.
14. Okay. So I'm going to guess that you may have been in situations where some of your children's friends, parents maybe aren't all that able to show up for their kids. There's been friends of my son, and, you know, and just all kids throughout my life, because now I have an almost 19-year-old and almost 12-year-old, where I try to step up in areas where I know that their parents, when they're at my house, where their parents don't, or try to provide opportunities and support in a way that they can't. I don't know if you've had that, where you've had a kind of like
1000%, where you're just opening your house. They're staying there for a couple of days, just as the the heat begins to, lessen. And I know that families did that for my mom when she was a single mom. Like, hey, we'll hold on to them while all hell's breaking loose. And, when you're ready, you come back and get them, and that's being of service in the most mightiest way. And also, if you are one of those families that's taking in a kid, boy, that says a lot about your parenting. One of the things that happened for me a few years ago, I'm a big fan of the daddy-daughter dance at schools, I mean, so it's my favorite event every February. I love it. And a few years ago, my oldest daughter had a friend whose dad was very sick with some sort of a neurological thing going on. And, the daddy-daughter dance was coming up, and he calls me up and he says, hey, listen, I'm not going to be able to go. Would you take my daughter along with yours? And Amanda, let's go back 30 years. No father was asking me to take their daughter anywhere 30 years ago. And so I just say that because of my actions and not my words, because of my actions, I was enough of a program of attraction, or a parenting program of attraction, that this father decided to trust his most precious thing with me for an evening with my friend. And I still remember it. And every time I see him, I kind of swell up, because I'm like, Andy, and so
that's special, especially being a dad, you're a dad of so many girls, like that's like a special thing for someone to be like,
sure.
I don't know too, because he thought of all the dads there were and asked you. I try to be a safe space for my kids' friends. I've had some of their parents that have gone through their own struggles with addiction. And I try to just, remind them that, if I didn't make the choice I did when Merrick was little, that like I would probably be in the same place that they are with him, and try to humanize their parents too, and try to like, be a voice of reason to like help them with forgiveness or work through whatever they're going through. It's been many times actually that I'm like a mama bear kind of to whomever. I'm a mama bear to whoever. I'll even mother you.
You definitely give off that energy, Amanda. That's for sure. You're mama bear to a lot of people in our industry. So, which a lot of people in our industry need a mama bear. Yeah. If I may share one story about my 11-year-old. So a few years ago, she was going to go camping with some friends in Big Bear, and it was at 9:00 at night. She says, hey, I want to do something special for the family that is going to take me camping. I said, okay, what do you want to do? She goes, let's go down to the store and get some stuff for s'mores. I said, okay. We hop in the car. We go down to the local Ralph's. We get the graham crackers, the marshmallows, the chocolate, right? We get back in the car and then we're heading home. And out of the blue, Amanda, she goes, Papa, have you ever gone to jail? And she was 8 at the time. And I'm like, I'm thinking my thought bubble. I'm like, oh my God, how do I express it? I've been to jail 8 times. I can't tell my daughter this. And all of a sudden I calm myself quickly. And I remember, hey, you always speak to them as if they're adults and they're ready for the answer you're going to give them. And I turned to her and I go, yeah, I've been to jail 8 times. 8 times, you know? And I said, yeah, this is when I was drunk and dumb and young. And I go, it was so long ago. And I go, have you ever seen any of that go on with you? He goes, no, I haven't. And then she pauses, thinks for a minute, reaches over, grabs my hand, and she goes, Papa, thank God you're sober.
Oh, that's so
and then when we got home that night, we're sitting around kind of organizing the s'mores. And she goes, I'm going to break your record. I go, what record's that? She goes, well, you have like 27 years of sobriety. I said, yeah. She goes, I'm going to have 100 years. And I thought, okay, you're of that generation that's going to have good medicine and good holistic stuff. You probably will live to 100. And then she looks at me, she goes, this is as a 10-year-old, she goes, I already have 10.
That's so amazing.
And so just goes to show you the power of sobriety, the power of recovery it's nothing to be afraid of. It really is not. And for those parents that need to take that step for day one, take the step. If you're finding yourself in a position that your actions are having consequences that are causing your family or your loved one or your partner harm over and over again, and those consequences are getting bigger, it's time to take the step and really go look in the mirror and call Amanda or call Greg, call somebody in your town to say, hey, I just need help. I just need help.
And that goes to unfortunately, I've seen it. I don't know, fully what it's like by you, but I believe it's a nationwide, worldwide thing. So there's a lot of people that do maybe make a life change, right? Say they get sober or they get their eating disorder in check or they stop gambling, whatever it is. And then they don't do work. And it's the same. So, for me, I had so much childhood trauma that it was super important for me to address my trauma, and some things are appropriate for fellowships and support groups, and some things are appropriate for like psychiatry and clinical therapy and things like that, like intensives, treatment, things along those lines. And that's okay too. Like if you're struggling with anything, whether it's just like you're depressed, whether you're not just, if you're have anxiety, if you have depression, if you don't want to do anything, if you're avoidant, if you have eating disorders, body issues, whatever it is, like you're not alone, and there is hope and there's help out there. And if we don't address it, our kids pick up on that. I had a friend that was so obsessed with dieting and things like that all she talked about, that her teenage daughter ended up having struggles with food and eating disorder. They hear what we're talking about. They watch us, so our struggles will pass on to them if we don't work our own shit out as parents.
I love what you said, beyond addiction. It could be anything. It could be stress at work. It could be something physical. My esteemed business partner, Jeff Vann, has a great term. Sometimes we need a big boy timeout or a big girl timeout, and it's okay to take. It's okay to take it 38, 42, 45. Take the timeout.
I need timeouts. I know when I need it. Like I am like, listen, I need space. I need alone time. Like I am just straight up, and I can feel it. Like if I don't get it, I lived alone for 3 years after my divorce. So, and then I lived alone for 6 years before that, you know what I mean? So like I've had a lot of time living alone. I traveled to Costa Rica this year alone. Like I love my alone time. I do love connection, and I do love people, and I love my kids, my favorite people to be around, my man. Like I love my close knit friends, but I need time of my own. I need big girl timeouts.
There you go. And you deserve them. You deserve them.
That's awesome. So what would you want to kind of, share with anyone that may be watching, listening, like just a couple action steps that maybe we didn't cover, whether it's with addiction, whether it's with children, just something that's on your heart. I know that you come from the heart and you're a straight shooter. I grew like me.
I think what I like to say is that we live in a very materialistic world. We live in a very escapism world. Those two things did not exist when I was a kid, the materialistic things or the escapism in terms of so many different ways. And really, I think we got to get back to the root of getting outside, playing with our kids, putting the phones down, especially at dinner time. We stack the phones, in the middle of the table.
Love that.
And really, like some of this old school stuff works. And return back to, like, think of, if you're a 45-year-old parent or a 50-year-old parent, think about what brought you joy as a kid. And I'll end on this. The greatest thing you can give your kids is to share a joy. So when I was a kid, Amanda, I had 3 joys. One was body surfing, skateboarding, and mint chocolate chip ice cream from Baskin Robbins. And to this day, I body surf with my girls, I skateboard with my girls, and we try to go to Baskin Robbins once a week because it returns me back to that joy.
Absolutely. Their joy, because you're sharing the joy.
Well, listen, I'll be long gone and they'll still be going to Baskin Robbins. And they will say, this is where Papa took us. This is where we had this. They will. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. And that's the one I think, having a son so young, I had Merrick at 24 and Scarlett, I had the Scarlett 31, which is a little more like, normal parent age, but being able to like be a younger parent and like being able to be really active. Like I tried the other day to go, take your mom to camp day. So I took last Friday and and I went wakeboarding. Well, I tried. I got up every time, but
I saw your before and after picture. The before was, hey, I'm a model. The after was like, oh my God, this works.
Getting the stuff out of my ears. Like it was, and I was like, I'm not going to give up. But where I messed up was I went for a run before and it was really hot. So, and then I tried to go wakeboard.
Yeah,
so
you're already tapped. You were already tapped out.
I'm going to go this week and try again. Like I knew that my body was like tapped, but like I want to show my daughter that I'm still down to try, you know what I mean? What my body can do. Like I'm down for it. And so like, I love that part of being a parent. Is like, I still feel like a kid inside.
Yeah.
The body grows.
You listen, kids keep you young. Kids keep you young. I'm an older dad, but man, inside I'm so young because my kids keep me young.
They do. And they bring that childlike spirit out of us that we still have in there. Like our bodies are growing and we may look, like we're aging, but inside we're still that little girl. There's still that little girl, that little boy, that teenager. Yep. I still have all those parts of me. And I'm very clear on which one shows her head at what time. Yep. Which one's the teenager? She don't mess around. The little girl's like wants to be loved. The teenager doesn't play. And so I'm very connected to the parts of me, Yep.
Good deal.
Awesome. So how can people find you, Gregg, if they want to connect with you? First of all, let's say hi to some of our friends. Sarah came on and said,
I saw Sarah, I saw Ronnie, I saw Daniel. These are all 3 great people that I've worked with, respect, have become friends, and want to say hi to them. Yeah, the easiest way to find me is through Instagram, Facebook, either by my name. I'm Gregg with 2 G's, Champion. There's a story in that for another time. And then the company that I am a co-founder of and partner with Patricia Myers and Jeff Vann is Startup Recovery and Startup Wellness. And, we do really good work. We're looking for meaningful outcomes for families. And Amanda and I really share good ethics. We're integrous in our work. And, it's my life's work. It's my life's mission to help people find recovery and push the reset button on their lives. That's what you did, Amanda. That's what I did.
Yeah. It's such a game changer. And so many people, I mean, in our world, we know about all these things, but like, I hope that this passes by somebody's face, while we're doing this, that has no idea that there's anything out there for hope. Like if we can be that beacon of hope for people, that there is.
If one person calls somebody today, because we just did this, we've done our work for today. We've done our work. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's you're not alone just in this world. And I've been to Gregg's program, and I have actually, if you scroll down my reels, you could find a reel of me going there for the first time and walking in and meeting the staff, and it just has such a good energy there and just great people, and you guys are doing really great work. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. And thank you for making the trip to come see us and get the feel recovery. I think that when you go visit a facility or sober living, you got to feel it. And I think, the ones that do it and the ones that don't.
I sure do. I'm
right?
big. I never ever want to come here again.
Yeah, right?
I never want to leave. Can I please come here for a week? Like,
yeah.
that's how I felt about your place. Like, I wanted to stay.
Yeah.
So I do have intentions to come back to California, but I wanted it to be not when there's an event. I think
Yep.
if I come and make just like a few close meetings, I'd rather that than come out there for an event when like everyone's out there and it's kind of watered down. Like that to me just didn't feel right this year. So I do want to come when it's, more intimate.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Gregg, for
All
coming.
right, Amanda. Great seeing you as always, and thank you for the opportunity. You're a good egg, as they say.
Thanks. And I'm sorry I was late. I was just navigating.
No problem.
My technology struggle. I was like, anything I try to do lately doesn't work. Like my email every day I have to sign in. My Facebook's gone. I've had my bank account hacked. Like I'm being pretty good about it because it's very frustrating, but I'm in acceptance. I'm just doing the best I can do. So thanks for
H417. All right.
Have a blessed day.